Good evening, good morning, and good night. Welcome to Inappropriate Radio. It's your host, Tashana, the hostess with the mostest. Let's get into this. Okay, first of all, I recorded on the 28th. It was like a follow-up to the list. I'm not sure why it's not uploading. Maybe the creator just doesn't want it up there, right? I might just go ahead and delete it. However, I did want to make a point to have this conversation. No, it's not about the periodic table, but it is something that the creator wanted me to throw out there, right? God is very intentional. God is an intentional God. And we've had several conversations about how this spell work is being thrown around, how people are intentionally and just innately evil, how spell work is backfiring. Like, we've had these conversations, right? And it is true. And I'm so sorry for the echoing. I'm in a new setting, okay? I'm in a different setting, not new. Just a different space for right now. If you feel that you are being spiritually attacked, 9 times out of 10, you are, especially if you have a special relationship with God, with animals, with babies, with people, if you help people, if your heart is pure, or if you just don't rock out with the devil, right? A lot of these instances where you're being compelled, right, to make certain decisions, it is connected to warfare. And sometimes, right, you may not even be thinking that something is an attack, and it may very well be. Or you may think something is an attack, and it's just a natural part of life, right? So, of course, like we always say, this is where your discernment comes from. This is where it comes in. However, there are several reasons, right, why you, and when I say you, I mean your spiritual self, right, not your fleshly self, your 5D and above self, has to really be on point. God is intentional. And yes, the things that are meant for evil are turned around for good. I'll give you an example. Say if people sing you like an overeating spell, right? Or like a weight gain spell, and you just start eating uncontrollably, and you are just eating, right? And in the midst of that eating, you find a new way to replace all of the bad things that you eat, and you have something healthy to replace them with. So now not only are you remedying this situation with a better diet, you've come up with a long-term option that will suffice. So this is something that you can pass on to the people that are around you. You're upgrading your DNA. There's so many different things that are connected to making decisions, to avoid the effects of warfare. Now, I'm not saying this is the case for everyone. Some people have to take the long road, the long journey, because they're disobedient, because they are slow rolling, right? They're a part of the problem. There's several different reasons why God would actually allow the attack, right? There are several reasons why the Creator would allow certain things to occur. And again, you may be because listen, God moves at God's speed, right? He moves in light years. He doesn't move on human time. Like, the time that we have is totally not God's timing, okay? And the sooner you realize that, the easier it'll be for you to fight these attacks off, right? And I'm going to give you an example. Well, I'm going to give you proof, right, that the spirit world is on a different time. They do spells and then they wait for 21 days for the effects to occur. So let's just say they do the spell today, right? 21 days from now, they're expecting to see results in some form of fashion. And again, we've even discussed how the effects, of the spells, they manifest as sickness, car accidents, attitudes, fights, breakups, losing money, all of these things, right? They would appear to be a natural function of life. But if you know that you're in the midst of warfare, then you have to count everything as an attack almost. I'm sorry to be like, yeah, turn up, that's an attack. Yeah. Like, I hate to do that, but I'm telling you that is one of the best ways to stay aware, because paranoia keeps you safe. And that was wisdom from one of my OGs from years ago, right? If you are laxed, it's so easy for a person to catch you off guard. But if you are paranoid, you are paying attention to everything coming your way. I mean, everything, whether it's coming your way or not. You're more observant, right? So with that, it's harder to catch you slipping. It's harder to catch you in a space of the unknown because you are so privy to everything. Again, God is intentional. So he will put you in the energy of being paranoid so you can't pay attention, so you won't miss anything. He will put you on edge so you can learn the different types of ways these attacks start to come in. God is very intentional. Even the things that you may consider to be a loss or a slip up, these are pockets where you learn. These are learning areas. This is where you get to really pay attention to things for what they are, for what you want them to be, not for how they appear to be, for what they really are. And again, that's like one whole thing in magic, right? Illusions. Being fooled, being tricked, being manipulated. Those are appearances. Those are what things look like they are, when in fact, they may not be, right? What we think they are. So again, we have to start paying better attention to what God is intending for us. And just learning how to stay in tune and in line. And of course, we're human. We're going to make mistakes. We're going to slip up. We're going to fall short. That's normal. As a human being, you should expect that, right? You should expect that at some point or another, if you are building this relationship with the Creator, if you have a covenant, if you are called to be in certain places at certain times, you have to understand that it is the job of the darker side to keep your spirit here, because they want to have as many spirits in this realm as possible, right? And don't get tripped up by that, because God created all of this, right? The God that I serve, the God that I know, created everything, right? So fear not, don't get overwhelmed with what comes along with the spiritual warfare, because it is a part of warfare. You won't know how strong you are until your strength is being tested over and over again by several people in several scenarios, in several fashions, right? Because not everyone fights the same. And And excuse me for the noise. I'm washing clothes, so I hear the machine in the background. I'm sorry. But all in all, you have to be willing to know what God's intentions are, because this is how you get tripped up and confused, because the enemy can mimic the voice of the Creator. He can mimic your voice, your thoughts. He can make you believe that what you're experiencing is worthwhile, to be confused, to be distracted. Like, all of those things are meant to keep you in a state of confusion. And if you don't know what God is intending for you, you'll be confused. Again, God will throw you in the pit. Alright? God will allow certain things to happen so you can not only draw on Him and who He is and build your faith, but it's also to get you to understand that this war is indeed real, and no, you're not tripping out. No, you're not bugging. Yes, this is really happening. And yes, you need to be looking at Him for everything you need. Okay? Not just your monetary, needs. All of your needs. Your emotional, your spiritual, your physical, your social, right? You want to be doing what God wants you to do and not what you want to be doing. If it's not what God wants, it's your lowest self. It is, and I'm not even going to get into that, because your lowest self is somewhere in the darkness that hopefully you can't find or you don't have access to anymore. But the overall premise of this conversation is to fully be enthralled and understand how important it is to have this concept of understanding what God wants for you. This is the only way you can know His intentions, is if you know what He intends on your life. What does He have planned for you? What does He intend on doing for you? What is His intentions? Right? We know it's not to harm. We know it's not to hinder. We know it's to help. But in which manner? Because if you ask God for more wisdom, He's going to give you a trial. If you ask God for more money, He's going to give you a trial. Most of the things that come from the Creator comes in the form of a trial. Most of the things that come from the dark side come in the form of paradise or temptation. The things that are most appealing to us, God don't really do beauty, right? He's not vain. Not the God I serve. He's intentional on the things that He speaks over you. Everyone was crafted with a particular purpose in mind. He was intentional when He created you. He was intentional when He brought you into the realm. And He was intentional when He said everything He said. Alright, so you have to be willing to take a step back and ask God, what is your plan for me? You can't just assume that what you think is correct. You could be wrong. You could be incorrect about where God is taking you, what He wants, what He's doing in your life, and why He even created you in the first place. God is intentional, okay? And He doesn't make mistakes. Never, not once. He's not a human. He don't make mistakes. But I do love y'all. I hope y'all drink y'all water, eating y'all fruit and vegetables, sipping on your own tea because it's free. And I hope y'all ready to enjoy y'all weekend, y'all. Love you. Peace.